Good morning, students, and now we're back for part 2 of matter. Again, we're continuing with 6p21. Recognize that all matter is made up of atoms, and atoms of the same element are alike, but are different from atoms of other elements. And again, we'll go into that in just a few minutes. Just a few reminders about footnotes. Number 1, you can always pause the video. So if you need to pause it, go ahead, pause it. You can replay the whole thing or only parts that you don't understand. If you want to replay the whole thing just to make sure you understand it, go for it. If you didn't understand a certain part and you just want to replay that part, that is fine as well. Go for it. Now, number 3, write down any questions you have on the side. This is the most important thing. If you are going through the PowerPoint and there's something you don't understand, stop the PowerPoint. Write the question down and then bring it to class the next day or during class that day and let me know so that I can help you. Number 4, you must watch the entire video until the end. There will be information needed throughout the video, including possible questions or statements you need to write down. Today for warm-up, I gave you the definitions and you were to match the vocabulary words that match the definition. On this slide, this basically gives you the correct answer. If you need to, stop the PowerPoint, check your answers, make sure that they're correct. And now we're going to move on. For the first part of 6p21, we discussed the 5 vocabulary words. Those are very important for you to know. Make sure you study those every single day for at least 10 to 15 minutes a day. The second part of 6p21 is John Dalton's atomic theory. There are 4 characteristics of an atom according to John Dalton. If you take a look, there's a picture of him down below. And in a few minutes, we're going to go through each one individually. Moving on to atomic theory number 1, the easiest theory of all. Atoms can't be broken into smaller pieces. What are you telling me? They can't break it down into smaller pieces. Basically, think about it like this. If you take a piece of bread and cut it into a small piece, you take that small piece, cut it into an even smaller piece. Eventually, you'll get down to a crumb. It's really hard to cut a crumb into smaller pieces. Atoms are the exact same way. You cannot break them down into smaller pieces because they're already pretty small. Atomic theory number 2. This is basically your standard 6p21. All atoms of one element are exactly alike, but they are different from atoms of other elements. What does that mean? For example, hydrogen here in America looks exactly the same like hydrogen in Africa. Oxygen atoms in China are the same as oxygen atoms in France. They're like twins. However, atoms of hydrogen anywhere in the world are not the same as the atoms of oxygen anywhere in the world. So if you take a look down below, I kind of gave you an example. This, of course, isn't a real atom, but let's pretend that the red one is hydrogen and the blue one is oxygen. As you can see, the colors differ, the size differ, therefore they are 2 different elements, 2 different atoms. However, if I had 2 hydrogen atoms, they would both be the same size, both be the same color. Think about that. Atomic theory number 3. Atoms of 2 or more elements can combine to form compounds or molecules. Each element is made up of atoms. So when we say that 2 elements combine, we are actually saying that 2 atoms combine, because like I said, elements are made of atoms. If you take a look at number 2, you can actually see that the 2 hydrogen atoms are combining with the 1 blue oxygen atom to create, ta-da, water, something that we can't live without. So atoms combine in order for us to get compounds or molecules that are beneficial to us. Now, think about it like this. How can you remember that these compounds and molecules are what they are? Think about it like this. Remember when you were in elementary school and you guys studied compound words where you took 2 words like basket and ball to make basketball, or when you took pan and cake and made pancake? This is basically the same thing, except for instead of taking words, we're taking 2 atoms or more than 2 atoms and combining them to make 1 molecule or a compound. In this slide, I'm showing you a real-life example of the elements hydrogen and oxygen, and basically these are pictures of the atoms of hydrogen and oxygen, and in the first part of it they're not combined, so basically those are elements on their own, and then eventually they combine together to make H2O, which is water. So this is a great real-life example for you to visualize. Atomic theory number 4. John Dalton's atomic theory number 4 states atoms of each element have a unique mass. If you take a look down at the bottom, it actually has elements from the periodic table. If you look at the periodic table, you have two numbers. The first number is the atomic number, which you don't have to worry about. You'll learn more about that in 8th grade. And then the second number is the atomic mass. The atomic mass is basically how big the atom is in that element. So for example, sodium is 22.9 while chlorine is 35.45. None of the elements are exactly alike. That's why atoms in each element are different, while atoms of the same element are the same. In this video, we talked about John Dalton's theories. John Dalton, you now know, has 4 important theories that you have to know. In actuality, he has 5. However, the top 4 that I discussed with you are the 4 that you need to know. Tonight in your homework, you'll be doing a reading, and it will explain the 5th one. Remember, you have to focus on the 4 we discussed in these flip notes. Now, let's talk about the key concepts. These are basically the most important things or the big ideas that you should have gotten from yesterday's notes and today's notes. Number 1, what is all matter made of? It's made up of atoms. Different atoms or different elements contain different atoms, and you can actually see a picture of different elements and how their atoms would look. And then everything is matter except, you know this, dun da da dun, energy. Now, I have 2 questions for you that I'd like for you to answer at the bottom of your paper. Number 1, how many theories does John Dalton really have? That's the first question. Number 2, how many minutes should you be studying each night? It was mentioned in this video, so you tell me, what did I say? And that's it. Have a good morning, and I'll see you soon.